Productive Pastor 105, 5 productivity pitfalls. Welcome back, friends. Another episode of Productive Pastor, the place online for healthy ministry through strategic productivity. Your host, Chad Brooks. It's always great to have you back on the show. Hope your week's been good. I've been all over the place. I've been working on the road. I've also been hustling to get this Memorial Day's limited edition course, the Productive Pastor Planner Template Pack, out and into the wild. Just did the final cleanups today. Can't wait to turn this loose on Friday. Remember, this is a limited time course. It's going to be available from Friday through Monday. It's only $27, and it's chock full of content about how you can develop the most appropriate ministry planner, because perfect doesn't exist. I got tired of doing that, and I've spent years iterating what works well for me, and the last couple of years have developed just tons of templates I use personally. I do it digital now, but you can still do this analog. I talk about how to do that in the course, but just keep your eyes peeled for that. If you want to make sure you jump on this, go to the show notes, revchadbrooks.com/PPP/105. Make sure to sign up for the wait list, or just be aware of social media over Memorial Day weekend. You'll find the links to how you can purchase that and jump onto that. Because remember, once Monday kicks around, it's gone. That's how I want to do courses now. I'm excited about doing this. It's the first time I've done this before. We've got, I think, around 125 pastors on the wait list, so I'm really excited to see how well this goes. It's a new strategy I want to try. Learned it from some folks earlier this year, and I felt like this is the way to go for what life is like, for what ministry is like for me like right now, but to continue resourcing you, because it's one of my favorite things that I get to do. But let's get on with the primary content, 5 productivity pitfalls. Now, what are the things that actually take away from your ministry productivity? That's what I'll talk about today, and a lot of this is the death by 10,000 cuts things. These aren't the big, huge things that can train wreck stuff. It's just the small things that, if they happen over and over and over again, can end up with you bleeding out and tired and exhausted and burned out and frustrated, or maybe just hitting these massive ministry walls that you don't have the ability to get over and reach that new level of effectiveness and competency and productivity that you want to see in your ministry leadership. These are the places where I've noted that they take away from me and my focus, and are the ways I try to stay away from these things, because none of these are big. These are all tiny little stuff. It's those little unintentional bad habits or practices we might have developed. And these aren't just things that distract, but these are the things that over time, when they build up, have the ability to erode not just your productivity, but your credibility as a leader. This is something I'm working and seeing and hearing about so much in all of my conversations with other pastors. So I want to share with these with you today. 5 productivity pitfalls. The first one is this, is not putting things in your schedule when you schedule them. I can't tell you how hard I have worked to get over this, but also how many times I see this negatively affect other folks in ministry. It's just not putting things in your schedule when you say you're going to do them, or when you schedule them. And the next thing you know, you get an email or a text message, hey, are you not going to come on this Zoom? Or, wow, we missed this call, or this didn't happen, or I forgot about this meeting, and you have to, drop dinner halfway ate at the house and fly it back down to the church. That sort of a thing. This can be a big deal. Now, this leaves us being scattered, leaves us being unattentive. This leads us to being unprepared for things. So a couple of ways that we can fix this. Number one is just your calendar management. This is the big thing. When I was young, in my early 20s, in my first ministry job, I became a horrible double booker. I was really bad. I actually missed one of my best friend's weddings, not just being there at the wedding, but being in the wedding, because of a double booking scenario. And it happened a few times, and my boss said, I'm not going to cut you slack on this one. This is a big thing we're depending on for you. You advocated for a leadership role in this, and so you're going to have to learn a lesson. And it took me a couple of more years to just get done with this. But the best way to avoid this is by just putting things in your schedule when you schedule them. I talk with ministry. I've coached pastors before that literally do not keep a calendar. Our brains begin to get full, friends. This is a theme that we're going to come back to in this episode. But this is where double booking or just not putting things in your calendar can be just really gnarly. I also learned to love tools like Calendly. I'm actually investigating something different now. But just when folks say, hey, listen, I want to have some time, or I'm trying to schedule a coaching call or that sort of a thing, to go in just to block off the dates, to have my availability, and to send them that link, say, hey, just grab any of these times, and it's automatically linked to my calendar. It's not perfect. I still have some hiccups in that system I have to work around just because of how unique ministry is for me right now. But that allows me to think far in advance, especially if I go and I begin blocking out dates. Like I booked a leadership conference in October for last week that I'm going to go attend, and I went automatically into Calendly and blocked off those dates for availability, because that's happened too, is where I've got folks that want to schedule sometimes 6 months in advance or book a whole 6 months worth of calls, and I'll end up being like, wow, that's in the middle of this time where I have something else going on. And so I still have to, be careful, be aware of this, because it's just about managing my calendar, and tools like Calendly do help me out with that. If somebody emails you about something, the second you agree to it, go and schedule it, put it in your calendar. Learn to ask about time zones. That's also a thing that I've had to learn how to do. But you email, it's done, it's in stone. Go ahead, block it off in your calendar. If you talk with somebody and say, hey, let's go have lunch or something like this, schedule it right then and there. I've got a good friend who's a colleague in ministry. She's been a pastor much longer than I have. I look up to her a lot. And she's a big fan of not just saying, oh, let's grab lunch sometime. She immediately pulls out her phone and says, when are you available? Let's get it scheduled. And it's there. It's in the calendar. So the first pitfall is just that. It's not putting things in your schedule when you schedule them. The second pitfall is this: putting off nagging things like software updates and remembering passwords, those sorts of tools. As I was writing the notes for this, my Apple Watch gave me the notification that I need to re-enter my Apple password. And it happened like 5 times within 2 minutes, and it drove me crazy. And I finally realized, Chad, this seems like a little tiny thing, but just with notification pushes and that sort of stuff, this is affecting me. So I stopped what I was doing. I went in, I updated the Apple password. It's there. I've how many times have you been wanting to go into a big project and you realize you can't jump into it because you've got to update the software? This is simple things. Sometimes this makes you actually miss out on something that can actually be really, really helpful. So I've begun just to let stuff auto update at night. And then when I get a notification, I take care of it, especially if it takes less than a minute or two. Think how much of my day was spent neglecting these sorts of things. And I found it to be true. Start using a password manager. I use a free tool called LastPass, and it manages all of my passwords across my desktop, my laptop, and my devices. This has helped out tremendously, and I've got a handful of things that I want to keep ultra secure that I just have in Evernote. I trust Evernote. It's in there. My wife and I had to reset our TV the other day, and it took me 25 or 30 minutes to get all of the passwords for our streaming services we use, because LastPass didn't have them saved, because I never watch TV on a computer or on a laptop, and it wasn't talking to my iPad. So I went in, created an Evernote note of all of the streaming passwords and stuck them in there and shared it with my wife. So it's not going to be a 30-minute ordeal next time. It's a 2-minute ordeal. When this sort of thing hits, it really hits bad. So don't put off just little tiny nagging things like software updates and passwords. The third thing is not writing things down. I think this can be one of the biggest things there. And one of the things I talk about in this upcoming course is I leave spaces for me to write down the things I've agreed to do and the action items coming out of meetings, conversations, all those sorts of things. And at the end of my day, and I color code things, and I know that in my working notebook, orange means a task. And so at the end of the day, I just flip through any page I created that day, and I make sure if it's orange, it gets put down as a task or as a thing I need to do. Forgetfulness can be damaging, and I'm a very forgetful person, so I've had to be super intentional about this. This is a thing about how damaging forgetfulness can be, because it breaks apart, it erodes trustworthiness and credibility. This is, if you just start writing things down, even if it's a 99-cent Dollar General notebook that you keep on your desk, it can be a big thing. Write down things that came out of conversations or tasks or thoughts you had or reminders. I'm using a new AI tool called Voice Notes. I hit one button on my phone. I'm waiting on the Watch app to come out, and I can talk to it for as long as I want to talk to it, and it will create a to-do list or a outline or all sorts of things out of it, because I get the best idea for episodes and content and newsletter articles and that sort of thing a lot of times when I'm driving, and I've been known to pull off the side of the road to write something down. Now I don't have to. It's there on my home screen. It's at the bottom of my bar. If it could find a way to get with CarPlay, it'd be even better. I would love it. But the Voice Notes app is just fantastic. And actually right now they're doing a $50 one-time, lifetime package. And I saw it. I used the tool for like a day and jumped on that. I will put a link to that in the show notes, or you can go grab that deal, grab Voice Notes. I love it. It helps me so much about writing things down, especially bigger ideas. So if it's an app, a notebook, piece of paper, whatever, write it down. I'm also a big fan of the dumping ground philosophy. This shows up in the Productive Pastor Planner template pack as well, with multiple templates for dumping grounds, because it just clears your brain. It lets you plan, and it creates space for more thoughtful work. That's that third pitfall, is not writing things down. The fourth pitfall is this. You have to build in time to be responsive. I've talked a lot about what 80% productivity looks like. That margin is there for you to be responsive. That's what the other 20% of your work week should look like, is time to be responsive. You know, whatever things are like, you know, when you just try to squeeze in responsiveness unintentionally and without planning, the ball is going to drop, and it's going to be very frustrating. So think about email or text follow-ups. It says a lot that you can be a responsive person to people. It's that whole credibility piece. With projects where you have the time to think through, you know, following up with people, you know, just tracing through agreements, that sort of a line, it's being responsive. It's also about pastoral and relational care. So many times in ministry, we keep open significantly more lines than the average person does. And I've been in situations before where I think this is a super casual conversation, and to the other person, while it might be on a super casual topic, my responsiveness means a lot. And so I think about that. But what I also do is I tell people who just communicate a bunch, hey, listen, I've protected myself from my phone really well. So if I'm like not jumping back on a bunch, I'm sorry, especially for people you have an extended relationship with. My family has the joke, Chad doesn't text back that much, but they know if they need something, I've seen it. And so just building in that time can be a big thing. You know, depending on where you are and what things look like, this could be a very significant thing. And I have this pop up today with a situation with somebody that I'm supervising, that their lack of responsiveness is really eroding their credibility as a ministry leader. The last thing in this, and I talked about this earlier on, but not scheduling to 80%. When your schedule is too full to do the job. I have a whole Productive Pastor episode about this, episode 25, about scheduling for 80%, because this is where overwhelm can creep in, and you can be proactive about that. That's kind of my whole working notebook approach. That's the reason behind a lot of these templates that I have, and the upcoming template course is about understanding what this means to schedule to 80% and knowing what space you have and don't have. The other side of this is if you can't think strategically through your week enough to be 80% strategically planned, you might need to think or work on the goals or the tasks that you are prioritizing, because you can't go at 110% for a long amount of time. Yeah, there's going to be weeks, and honestly, this week was one of them, where I've had a lot of stuff come across my desk. And sometimes all I have to do is come back and say, hey, listen, I will get back with you on this at this date. Or I've had to build some systems. I mean, I literally dropped a massive email with a bunch of items into ChatGPT today and said, make me an email, make me a spreadsheet and a table with these headings, drop all these tasks in, and it's helping me manage what would have been historically something, you know, pretty overwhelming for me. But I know that this week's going to be like this, but I also know that next week it needs to be a lighter load, and I can make that happen intentionally. So those are the 5 productivity pitfalls, the things that can erode your productivity, but can also just erode your ministry. Hope you enjoyed this. It's always fun to be back with y'all. I'm going on vacation next week, but there will be an episode to pull something out of the archives from the old school Productive Pastor back in the 2000 teens. Haven't figured out what's going to be yet. I'm shooting for something really practical. But until then, I'll see you back in the next episode. Come hang out with us in the Productive Pastor community on Facebook. There's a link to that in the show notes. For 1,000 pastors pursuing healthy ministry through strategic productivity together. Also, the Productive Pastor email list. I drilled down into stuff in that place. Would love to see you over there as well. Hope to see you inside of the Productive Pastor Planner Template Pack. I low-key kind of can't wait to not have to say that really fast again, but it's a joy to create content, to resource, to help you, to be part of your journey of ministry productivity. I'll see you back next time.